But let's listen to Wavy here because I want to cover this. This doesn't really fit in with anything else that I've got going on, so it kind of worked out for a short little like pop-up thank you stream, which let me wipe any blood off of my face. I nicked myself. Okay, so I got the camera, right? I set the camera up and I'm like, oh, that looks really good. Get everything all in focus and everything. Sit there, and then I'm looking at myself and I got all this like scraggly facial hair because I haven't shaved in like 2 weeks and stuff. So I went and quick shaved really quick and I ended up nicking myself somewhere over here. But no, I wanted to reach out and say thank you so very much. 200 plus now subscribers is it's a huge accomplishment for me, and it really means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it. I try to provide really good content, so I really appreciate the fact that people are finding it, liking it, enjoying it, subscribing, commenting, being involved in the chats. It really means a lot to me. I took this up as a hobby, but I'm obviously enjoying it quite a bit. Maybe a little too much if you ask my wife, as far as like things I've spent on like setups. I'm looking at getting a little bit better mic eventually, because I think my mic might be dying, but it was a $25 mic, so I can't complain. Yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I genuinely do. So thank you for supporting. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming out to the videos, weighing in, watching them. I try to make things interesting. I try to find interesting topics. We might cover another little cringe topic if I'm feeling okay. I took meds before this, so I'm not going to be able to go too late. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate it very, very much. And I cannot express that enough. But let's start out with you're watching Band of Brothers. Are you going to watch the Pacific too? Because there's the Pacific as the second part of that whole mini series. There's actually 20 episodes. So you're watching the first, I think it's 10 episodes, is the Band of Brothers. That's all European theater. If you watch the Pacific, it's put on by the same people and everything else, and that covers Pacific theater warfare, and it's also really good. And there's a really funny thing with Peaches in there. If you want to watch a really interesting new warfare thing, I highly recommend Generation Kill. There's just some awesome military humor in there if you get that kind of thing. But let me have Wavy here discuss the whole Elsagate, because what I found touches on this. So I think it would be important to kind of get an idea on this if nobody remembers this.
The controversy we'll be revisiting today is an unsettling incident YouTube would prefer we forget ever happened. Easily one of the most disturbing and consequential PR disasters in YouTube's history. Elsagate. This story was massive, and for good reason. Back in 2016, the lid was blown on a site-wide operation. A ring of channels had been making content targeting children that contained violence and highly suggestive sexual themes.
Check this out, new at 4 o'clock.
This kind of sets up the whole thing.
Scary videos on a popular...
So, hey, by the way, let me know if that worked. There's a cool little feature I just tried right there that I don't know if it worked well for you guys, but I have audio ducking set up. So if I start talking before the video is paused, it should...
children's app. Inappropriate
it should lower the volume like it should
YouTube
right now,
kids,
and you should hear me clearer over the video, even though it's still playing.
Violent and even sexual scenarios.
This salacious material deceptively found its way to the screens of kids, with creators using sneaky methods to get clicks. They used iconic kid-safe characters like Spider-Man, Dora the Explorer, and of course, Elsa to bait in young viewers. The discovery of this unsavory ring of creators generated disgust around the YouTube community, and it wouldn't be long before a moral panic ensued. Something had to be done about this. From traumatized children to outraged parents to multi-million-dollar government fines being issued at YouTube, this is the dark legacy of Elsagate. Today's video is sponsored by Keeps, and to begin the ad, let's take a look at my hair from videos back in 2020.
Yeah, I was losing hair that back in the day. It should lower it just slightly so you guys can hear me.
Bald, so I started
and then I could pause the video. I kind of did it so that it's nice on my transitions with my music when I'm not in spaz mode trying to figure out chat and accidentally pause my music. Remember the one that was like a Spider-Man video and there was gore, jump scare? Okay, yeah, so really just first minute and a half kind of sums up the whole Elsagate thing pretty much. I mean, I'm not jumping into the Elsagate side of this stuff, so what we can do is, so since we have this, I found something, and it's this new video. And so this is called Incredigate. And this video, as you can see, it came out a month ago. This person, if I remember right, yeah, has a whole bunch of timestamps and a whole bunch of information in here, I believe. Support the channel. It's an interesting phenomenon that they found again. So I kind of found interest in this because okay, so what is the name of what I'm trying to think of? It's Mr. Incredible Uncanny. Okay, so there's this Uncanny Valley is an ARG horror thing. Without getting too much into it, it's got some really kind of unusual like filters and stuff that it does with images. And so there's this uncanny picture of Mr. Incredible. And so this picture, you know, progressively gets more and more kind of aged and creepy looking and all that. Well, the one that they're using is it starts out with this and then kind of goes more into this creepy looking smile type thing. Basically, it's kind of very similar to Elsagate, as you guys will find out. So I came across this video from Raymundo. He did a fantastic job. Very, very, very high quality video. He's going to go over the birth of the meme and understanding kind of like what I just showed you. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to jump a little bit ahead. We're going to go to this portion right here, which kind of breaks down Incredigate and what's going on with this, because this is even creepier and darker, I think, in some ways than Elsagate was. Like I said, the video quality is top notch. Petty.
The deeper you look into this thing, the more shocking and disturbing it gets. What might just seem like some cheap memes banking off popular IP becomes more and more disturbing, as a massive rabbit hole is opened up before your eyes. Some meme channels like Not Funny, you're right about that, employ many AI-generated booby girls, but the majority of their actual video content is just a little narrative being played out within the context of the meme. It's not good, but it could be a lot worse. The majority of these memes use actual cropped porn of these characters, usually being something along the lines of those source filmmaker animations. If you know, you know. These memes basically just barely cut off the actual nudity that would get them strikes, but usually include pretty much everything else. This is genuinely a shocking practice. Not only because it's borderline breaking terms of service, but because many of the characters involved in the videos are ones beloved by very, very young children. This brings up a debate about not safe for work content using children's characters. I've made videos discussing how harmful it was to have a ton of violent and inappropriate content in the brony community for little kids who found it all by just innocently searching things on YouTube about My Little Pony.
By the way, there is some straight fucked up shit with My Little Pony and the brony community, especially some things that are like seriously masked. Like, you would not tell that this shit is gonna go fucking buck wild when you get into it. Like, there's a couple things with rainbow something or other, rainbow fuckwad, the fucking horse, and cupcakes, and like she actually like butchers fucking animals and stuff. Like, it gets intense.
I'll absolutely stand by what I said in those videos, as I can't even start to understand the people who go against those ideas. Many people in the comments of those videos claim that it's perfectly fine for kids to see this sort of content, and that it's not the artist's responsibility for what children see on YouTube. A point I made in the video, which is true for this situation as well, is that being exposed to all this stuff early on can lead to kids to develop addictions to pornography that follow them throughout their lives. Many detractors to this argument claim that porn addiction isn't real and isn't as harmful as research and first-hand accounts claim it is. I don't doubt that many people will be using those arguments in the comment section of this video, since they're likely themselves addicts to this content, and likely want to argue as to why there's no problems with it, and why the kids will be perfectly fine. There's a ton of evidence to disprove this idea, and I want you all to remember that going forwards. Porn just should not be viewed by children. I don't care if you watched it when you were a child and ended up fine. Some of the videos we're about to talk about today have millions of views, meaning that if only 5% of kids consuming this content are negatively affected, that's still 50,000 children. This entire thing wouldn't be as dire of a situation if it didn't so heavily rely on using characters that are popular with very, very young children. One of the most egregious examples of this is a channel by the name of Top Fun. They use barely censored thumbnails, usually of characters from the hit game Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. This franchise, while not being expressly for children, has garnered an absolutely massive child audience that adores the games and its characters, and will watch anything about them. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach specifically is also the point where many older fans of the franchise feel that the series started to pander more heavily to children. Keep that in mind when we look at this channel. A character you'll become very familiar with if you decide to research this yourself is one by the name of Roxanne Wolf, who's one of the animatronic characters.
Yeah, this is another thing I'm
For
looking
whatever
into.
Reason, she's become the target of a ton of very sexual fan art, likely from the furry community, which I guess makes sense.
This Top Fun channel started off in 2022 with a very innocent video of being a Mr. Incredible becoming your first house. This video was their first attempt at creating a popular Incredible meme, and it failed, not even breaking 1,000 views. So after that first attempt, he just spam uploaded a ton of these inappropriate Five Nights at Freddy's videos.
Many of these thumbnails just barely cover the nudity, and some just straight up covering the genitals only with the entire ass being uncensored. In Five Nights at Freddy's, there's like one human female character, but she's a night guard named Vanessa. There are a ton of videos on this channel of her as well.
I can maybe potentially see this channel dodging any sort of backlash from YouTube because the characters are robots and furries, but no. He uses art of straight up blonde women and gets away with it.
Some of these videos showed art of the characters' faces covered in semen, with the implications being obvious. The descriptions of these videos weren't anything too noticeable at first.
You start getting the idea on how like nasty and dirty and grimy this fucking channel is, and there's a couple of them like this.
Just being filled with somewhat relevant hashtags. But in his video, Chica and Roxy become canny Rule 34, which features a thumbnail of the character Foxy seemingly performing on the character Chica.
Okay, so Rule 34 is going towards an internet rule. I will now, God Lord, I'm gonna pull this up off screen because I don't know. It's going to come up when I type this in. Okay, it's safe. Here is what Rule 34 is, right over here. This is what you're wanting to look at. So basically it says that Rule 34 is an internet meme which claims that the internet pornography exists concerning every possible topic. Basically, if something exists, there is porn of it. The concept is commonly depicted as fan art, normally non-erotic images such as normally non-erotic subjects engaging in sexual behavior and or a sexual activity. So yeah, that's right here. If it exists, there's porn of it. That's Rule 34. So that's what they're referring to here. I just want to make sure everybody's on board. That's a little internet cheeky, so I want to make sure we're good.
The descriptions became a little more sinister. The description became full of kids' search terms,
Spot on,
with
Jim.
hundreds of variations of different things, like Minecraft videos, both in English, Russian, Korean, and Turkish. All these languages were basically saying the same thing. Search terms like Paw Patrol, Masha the Bear, Luca, and Disney, which are properties that are for very, very young children.
By the way, there is some straight up fucking... Okay, so I already said that there's the Rainbow Dash thing with My Little Pony and some like straight gore videos. Did you know there's shit involving Bluey? Like, okay, I've watched Bluey because I got a couple of really young nieces and they're really into it and they really enjoy it. The fact that there's like some really like erotic writing out there by adults that are my age or older is so sickening to me. Like, I cannot believe it. And what's worse is like, I don't care about the whole Rule 34 side of stuff. Whatever. If it's your thing, fucking go for it. Keep it away from being accessed by kids, which is kind of what Raymundo's on here. It's just kind of a sick topic. Bluey's actually fairly well done, having a focus on it. Yeah, it's got some really great references for an adult if you're having to watch it. Like, I don't mind it. It's not like mind-numbing like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is one that I remember watching with one of the younger nieces, and holy hell did that drive me insane. That was just mind mush freaking video.
Here in these descriptions. This makes it clear that this description is trying to get the algorithm to show these videos to people searching up these sort of things. Upon seeing these things in the description, a massive pit in my stomach grew as I realized why some of these videos have so many views. This was an incredibly disturbing revelation, since even the profile picture on this YouTube channel is uncensored hentai. If you look, this girl's nipple is just out there for everyone to see on YouTube. These videos are not age restricted despite their content. And until the video Chica and Roxy Becoming Candy 34 came out, which features Chica bound and gagged while Roxy wields a whip, then an actual age warning was added, reading, "Disclaimer, this video is not recommended for people under 18 age." And then a weird animation of the character Vanessa is shown in a skimpy uniform. She shushes the camera, and then it glitches into the Incredible meme. Top Fun didn't remove the watermark in the bottom right, so I got curious as to where this video came from.
Is some good
I soon found that this
investigation.
video was created by General Butch, who is an animated porn artist that makes some pretty hardcore stuff. The base video was probably taken from Bang. Don't look it up, trust me, especially if you're on the younger side. I also did a reverse image search on the profile picture, and found it hosted on an explicit hentai website, which also has imagery of underage characters on its front page. I wanted to find some sort of way to...
Don't get me wrong, and I maybe am completely misunderstanding it, but the thing that I found interesting with this image, can we go back just a little bit? Oh God, if I can remember my controls, is it... I'm off just going, and then
So I got curious as to where this video came from. I soon found that this video was created by General Butch, who is an animated porn artist that makes some pretty hardcore stuff. The base video was probably taken from Bang. Don't look it up, trust me, especially if you're on the younger side. I also did a reverse image search on the profile picture.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe somebody with a little more Japanese culture knowledge, but isn't what they're wearing one of the the typical schoolgirl uniforms, and insinuating that this would be Lolly as their actual profile picture? That's kind of fucking weird if you ask me. But yeah, this did some fantastic digging
and found it hosted on an explicit hentai website, which also has imagery of underage
we're really
characters
gonna
on
start
its front
getting into
page.
some dark stuff here now.
I wanted to find some sort of way to get this shit reported or something along those
I'm gonna turn
lines,
the
but
gain up a
as far as I
little
know,
bit. There we
there's
go.
nothing we can do. I took a glance at this disgusting website and just had to walk away from my computer and go outside. This job never gets easier. It should be clear to you now that this rabbit hole is deep and very disturbing to learn about, but it gets worse. So much worse. Top Fun is just one of many of these degenerate YouTube channels. There are many, many more that make equally reprehensible content, some of which use anime characters, which, to be fair,
thanks for
are less
confirming,
marketed
Jim. I was
towards
curious
literal
about that.
elementary schoolers. But regardless, many of these videos still show skin-soaked women, alongside barely censored pornographic imagery. Channels like Mr. Vez come to mind. But again, these Naruto character Incredible memes are still bad, but not the worst there is to offer. To me, these videos should be at the utmost concern when they employ characters that are loved by very young children, which unfortunately is the majority of them. But what if they did more than just that? What if they entered a far more degenerate and illegal territory? Enter incest. Oddly enough, many of the memes that appear when searching Mr. Incredible Becomes Canny regard one's sister, with pictures getting increasingly sexual. Memes like POV your sister is, or POV your sister does this. One of the most foul ones I found was on a channel by the name of Meston Funny Memes. The meme in question is very upfront, with the thumbnail being this. The video starts off semi-innocent, with the meme just essentially showing your sister doing random innocent things, until it says, "She excites you." And then right after that, showing she made you a
Thank you for clearing that up,
and then
Ellington.
says she
By the way,
woke you
hi,
up.
how you doing?
It was a dream. This is such a weird thing to post, and I don't think it's a great idea to get the idea of sexualizing your sister into these kids' heads. There are other memes of a similar nature, such as this one by Chill Meme, who uploaded a POV, your sister is meme. Again, starting off with some pretty innocent characters, until showing more and more spicy art of a girl in a creeper hoodie. And then some Anka fan art, which is ironic, most likely inspired by the Zone parody. And then finally some naked succubus girl art, which of course just has her nips censored. Then switches to people that you don't want your sister to be, such as Greta Thunberg and a creepy titan. It only gets worse with a video uploaded by Bermit Memes. The video crafts a seemingly innocuous narrative, until the slide saying you decide to watch adult videos, and it goes majorly downhill. To make it brief, it basically says that your sister catches you watching this content, and then wants to partake in the acts portrayed on screen with you. She does, and then tells your parents. There are many, many more of these videos around YouTube that are incredibly easy to find by children. I find it completely absurd that these videos are up, get decent views, and no one in the comment section or anywhere around the internet are talking about it. It's insane to me that children being exposed
So to give you a quick idea on what I'm watching here, Ellington, it's so Raymundo and Gamer from Mars did this great video together where they're going over. So there's something called Incredigate, which is very similar to Elsagate. If you remember Elsagate from about a year ago or so, I kind of started off with a refresher on that, but this is very, very similar, except it uses the Uncanny Valley, Mr. Incredible stuff, like these kind of images, and it just progressively goes from this into like more darker images with darker content next to it. And the thing that's kind of really messed up is that this stuff is being kind of targeted towards younger kids. There's no age restriction. Like as we've seen, like some of these people are straight up like porn and like lolly porn, hentai, actual creators, and they're barely, if they're not even censoring in some cases, like semen shown on drawings and stuff like that. And then the tag system that they're using is really heavily targeting this towards kids content, towards Minecraft and Disney and stuff like that. And it's just really screwed up, because I thought they fixed this stuff with Elsagate, and I thought the oh god, what is their system called? I would have to go into YouTube policies, but they actually have a system for this. Let's see. Harmful? I don't know why I'm in caps. It's the harmful content. Harmful and dangerous content. This one. There is a subsection in here that allows for, well, there's the child safety policy, but there is like an educational side of it that is allowed, but this would definitely not, this right here, the EDSA. So if it's EDSA, educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic, and that's the only thing, is I could see people arguing this under the artistic, but we went through this with Plagued Moth, where I thought his kind of fell more under maybe the educational side of it. This might fall more under the artistic side of this EDSA, under the harmful content policy for YouTube. So it's kind of interesting that this stuff is allowed to stay up without any safeguards against children.
Videos that at best normalize incest between siblings, and at
I
worst,
thought they developed an algorithm to scan for the sexual content and stuff like that too, but this is just proving that him and Gamer from Mars kind of came across this, and like they searched the content creators and they were straight like porn creators. Like this is messed up.
straight up revel in the idea of it. I have no proof of what I'm about to say, but judging off what happens with almost every other instance of young children consuming strange and inappropriate content on the internet, it often evolves into an infatuation with the topic at hand, and in many cases becomes a fetish. Most Gen Z kids who grew up with unmonitored internet access to YouTube definitely came upon some fetish content when surfing the website. For many, it was just weird or funny, and we didn't think much of it. But for others, they ended up continuing to enjoy this content in a different way. That's not to say that these memes of your sister doing blank degenerate thing will certainly
like, look
lead
at
to
this
young viewers
list.
thinking
This
about
is
sexual
insane.
acts and looking at more content pertaining to it. However, I can't help but feel like to some children, this may be the start of an unhealthy interest. Apologies for the pause, but it's now time for today's sponsor.
Okay, we're gonna skip that. Playlist rabbit hole. This is where I think I want to go.
When looking up an innocent search term, such as Mr. Incredible becomes canny FNAF, you'll be met with the disgusting content we've been talking about throughout this video. However, imagine if you're a kid trying to find a consolidated place to find these videos. So you search with playlist, and you're met with this. Hundreds of playlists full of straight up real pornography featuring actual naked human women. These playlists are also incredibly strange in nature, with short clips of actual women, an odd foreign cooking or tutorial video, and then some pretty obscene Mr. Incredible memes. It's an incredibly disturbing and mind-boggling thing to find here on the surface of YouTube. Many of these videos aren't even age restricted, meaning that young children can easily view this content.
See, like, I remember watching like some really messed up stuff, because growing up in that time, like rotten.com and oh god, there's Pain Olympics, Lemon Party, like Goatsy and all that stuff. Like I even, God, how many times did people get scared with that stupid meat spin? Yeah. With the stupid car commercial and the jump scare with that. That wasn't even like gore, but I remember that stuff. Like that's kind of about the time that I grew up with the internet. But the thing that I have with that, especially being a person who has, I've got an interest in gore. I think the content should exist online, but not in this fashion. Like I find this really messed up that this is targeted towards kids. Like, look at this fucking playlist over here. And this is just nothing more than FNAF animatronic. Like if you search the wrong things as a kid, like Jesus.
Playlists are an entire rabbit hole on their own, with many of them leading to even more
And,
obscene
like,
playlists during their end
There's
screen.
some high-end like trigger words in here, like FNAF, I suppose all Vanny. Vanny is a big one.
These playlists branch to different fed
Yeah.
ways,
See, like, look at all the stuff that this is tagged under.
with one of the most prominent ones being navel licking. These specific playlists often come up at the end of the videos, such as an end screen that you can click on, which then leads to more and more raunchy content. Looking through these playlists, it's genuinely sickening and feels like uncovering a dark secret you aren't supposed
What
to
are you
know
on about, Teddy?
There are thousands of these playlists that can be found through many different child-friendly search terms. However, many of you may remember that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Back at the start of 2023, I found a Reddit thread discussing the fact that if you search up something along the lines of Hey Arnold full episodes on YouTube and search by playlists, you'd be met with many of these playlists themselves. I covered this in my video discussing Elsagate, which led to the internet to speculate exactly why this is happening, and why it was so easy to find with child-friendly search terms. The actual nature of these clips of women vary, though. Some of these are breast milk tutorials, outfit try-on videos,
See, like, I've heard this.
Asian massage videos, micro bikini try-ons.
And that's where it gets interesting, because that's where stuff falls under these weird policies. So it's like a sub policy. Like, you have your age restricted content here, and like, you know, what falls under age restricted content, but then this EDSA stuff, like when it's breastfeeding videos, it falls under educational, obviously, you know. And then there's artistic stuff. So it's kind of how these things can fall into stuff. And there is, if I go into the EDSA, if I remember right, this is the EDSA policy. This breaks it down even more specifically about like what content falls and is acceptable under EDSA and what isn't. But I don't understand why this is not triggering to get flagged to be looked at. Like, you know, this is the stuff that doesn't get EDSA approval. And, you know, this is where we were talking about with Plagued Moth and his stuff, how he kind of falls under possibly this, but then it can go under, you know, the educational side, which is weird. But this, that's where it gets weird, because of this key term right here, the violent, is what really makes it hard to like categorize some of this stuff. Firearms, prohibited sales. Like, if you look, it's really kind of weird how like CSAM's, you know, obviously flagged no go, but this stuff doesn't fall under that. It's because it's containing like furry stuff, and for the most part like anthropomorphic type stuff, that it kind of gets away with it a little bit. And then, but then, like he's saying, you know, you've got humans involved, and just because they're animations, are you saying because they're animations they fall under the EDSA stuff? Or why not? Why shouldn't they be restricted? It's basically hentai.
And of course, just straight up boobs, with the thinnest, most revealing see-through content just barely covering the nips. This content is insane, and I'm shocked
Exactly,
that any of it is
Jim.
up in the
It's
first
a very, they really did a fantastic job of like guarding themselves on these words, because you can basically get away with like, oh, we don't think that's artistic enough, or we do think that's artistic enough. It's a very open to interpretation subject.
place, but especially that it's being shown to children who look up a popular meme. But of course, why? Why is this happening? And why the hell is YouTube seemingly not doing anything about it? Looking at some of these videos' descriptions will lead you to see that some of them are indeed age restricted, which is something, I guess. But again, many of them are not. Like mentioned earlier, when YouTube users investigated this case, they made multiple discoveries, alongside theories. The most prominent ones being that the playlists were made by some incredibly disturbed individuals that were tagging them with children's search terms in the hopes that they could get innocent kids to watch NSFW content, then become lifelong addicts. This is actually supported by some of the links provided in these videos. For example, in Victor Andrews' video, Naked Girl Big Boobs, OP provides a link in the description. I took a major risk and opened this link, with a VPN of course, and it led me to a website that I wasn't really expecting. The link is to www.clubgirlshd.com, which then redirects to meetandlove.net. This website is strange, to say the very least, with a looped video of a scantily clad girl playing in the background. It seems like it's trying to copy Instagram's user interface and aesthetic. The website gives you a direct warning, being, You will see nude photos. Please be discreet. It basically just tells you that you're going to start having some access to cheating and single moms that are looking for some fun, and that you must keep your identity secret, as it gives you options as to whether or not you agree to the things that they ask. Eventually, after you answer all the questions, you're given a continue button.
Daddy, I just saw your message.
At this point, when you click the continue, you'll be met with some different results. My first time clicking through this website, it linked me directly to Live Jasmine, a website that's basically just porn live streams. However, when I did it again and answered no to the questions, I was directed to what was clearly a malware phishing site, but luckily, my blocker did its job. This is far from the only YouTube video that links to this type of video, which has led people to believe that these playlists are made by some really scummy individual.
Well, what gets me with this, and like specifically what he's showing here, and this is where I theorize as having worked a little in IT, and I'm not going to say that I'm an IT expert in any way, shape, or form, but when they have stuff like what we're literally talking about right here, where there's a porn link, like, you know, this link was in the actual comments, they should be able to search for that type of stuff and be able to see where it's redirecting and things like that, and be able to flag the video for review. I feel like that system would be appropriate, because then you could have someone review it and be like, hey, no, this ain't acceptable or whatever. Obviously, especially being like when it's a creator type thing and they have like their creator comment underneath, it should automatically flag like that. Clothed man, Tiny. I like your anti-communist message there. Oh man, but yeah, I don't know.
Who are working with
thinking
porn
about
websites. Basically, having the YouTube video be a carrot on a stick, with the link below being the full experience.
See, that inspect element is what gets me.
Tools who are working with porn websites. Basically, having
Right
the
here,
YouTube video
right here. This is like an inspect element, like the background information on the page. Like if I were right now to,
with the link below being,
you know, hit what is it, F11, I think.
The full experience.
Is it all? I'm trying to pull up the inspect element. Oh my god, I cannot remember the shortcut for inspect element. Ooh, what did I do here? I have no idea what I just did here. I did a thing. How do I undo the thing?
This is the case. It's incredibly sick and twisted. However, it may not exactly be the case. I want to provide all parts of the discussion, therefore I want to share the other main theory at play. In Vietnam, pornography is not only very discouraged socially, but is also straight up illegal. In Vietnam, the selling of porno movies, magazines, and websites is not allowed, leading to people of Vietnam to getting creative ways of feeding their human urges. Many just use VPNs to bypass the Vietnamese firewalls and access whatever content they want. However, not everyone knows how to use a VPN, nor does everyone have access to them. I used to believe that these playlists were made by Vietnamese citizens to legally access this sort of content and not have suspicious search terms in the process. For example, if you're worried about your internet being monitored and tracked, then you'd have the plausible deniability of just being interested in some cartoons and memes on YouTube. This made sense to me for the longest time, but there were some certain things that just didn't check out. Some of these playlists would come up for things that wouldn't be innocent search terms, like gun maintenance and repair videos. This wouldn't be an innocent search term for a Vietnamese individual, on account of the fact that citizens are strictly prohibited from owning firearms. This nugget of information completely threw me and many others off as to what was even going on. However, the truth was finally revealed about these playlists, when a YouTube video from a Vietnamese channel basically explained how to create bots that essentially just spam upload these playlists using a bunch of random search terms that it thinks will get views. This explains why many of the sexy videos at the start are only seconds long. Since they're in playlists, the next video autoplays, giving the uploader another view, which is indeed why these videos have an insane amount of views. The videos in question are the random Vietnamese ones that play right after the sexy girls. I made a video talking about this whole controversy back in February of 2023.
So weird.
And it seemed like YouTube was paying very close attention. They ended up age restricting the video, then after people complained and I talked to a representative directly, they brought it back, and yet again it was manually reviewed for a third time, leading it to be demonetized, but it's still up to this day. This insane amount of focus on the video made it clear that they were watching, and luckily, shortly after this, every single search term mentioned in my video was scrubbed of all NSFW content. For a time, it seemed like we won. These playlists were finally gone, and YouTube was actually paying attention and enforcing their own rules for once. However, as the months passed, these playlists returned, and it appears that YouTube isn't really doing anything about it. You may still be wondering about the suspicious and disturbing links that were in the comments of these videos. As for those, my theory is that they exist in their own little rabbit hole of NSFW phishing scams. However, that's a video for another day on account of the fact that those videos aren't being targeted towards children.
You know, that's highly likely, you know, as far as like a phishing scam and all that stuff goes. That makes a lot of sense. Sucker somebody in, have the age restricted video. It's just still, it doesn't, I don't understand, like, might have to investigate this a little more. I'm kind of curious, like, okay, so if I were to browse YouTube as a 13-year-old or under a profile, which would be fall under the age restricted stuff, does this stuff still come up eventually in the playlist?
So essentially, it's its own problem. Unfortunately, this Incredigate rabbit hole only gets deeper and deeper. I could go on and on about the hundreds of channels that show everything but the nudity in their videos and their thumbnails, but I believe you've heard enough. I want to also note that I've compiled a good few of these channels involved in a pastebin. This pastebin link will be provided in the description below, and I encourage you to check it out. And of course, report what you see. Regardless, I found a channel that does a lot of the same that these other channels do, however, in an incredibly unconventional format. This channel is called Artologist, and is such a weird new level of Elsagate content farm. These videos are essentially re-uploads of these memes, but made on flipbooks of all things. The videos all use the same annoying song, and often the same hand model. This channel has tons and tons of videos, with the majority being sexual in nature, using sexualized versions of popular characters, which of course is nothing new. But like many others of this nature, it gets deeper. When watching these videos, I wasn't completely sure as to how they were made. Initially, you'd think they're just some sort of AI-generated green screen videos, but after watching a few, I realized that the back part of the paper has ink bleed, which is definitely weird. I thought for a second that they were indeed just printing out a bunch of full-color flipbooks, which would absolutely be the biggest waste of printer ink since 2000s kids printing every victory screen on a kid's flash game. If you know, you know, but I digress. I looked through the description and found this interesting little sentence.
It is a very difficult process of modeling a 3D flipbook in hands, animating it, programming and rendering. The images used in this video are all digitally painted. My attempt is to give a new dimension to a flipbook, a digital flipbook. Hope you are satisfied with my work.
And then seeing a list of the software used to make the videos.
Okay.
Quite the odd description, but it lets us know what we need to know. While looking through this channel, I found a link to the Flipbook Creator Online website. This website heavily employs the soulless corporate Memphis art style, and it isn't really suspicious at all. Essentially what you can do is pay for your own videos on flipbooks. Why you'd want to do this, I really don't know, but to each their own. They do, however, have an about page.
It's okay,
Here we get
Danny.
to
You're
learn
always
who
welcome
is
here to
indeed
do
behind
that.
this project. Ronald here is the apparent founder of Artologist and shares his story. I guess. This inspirational paragraph is a big nothing burger that reads like it was created using a GPT chatbot. Such paragraphs as,
Our philosophy. At Artologist, we believe time is more valuable than money. The freedom to enjoy life, to not be tied down by a job you dread, and the ability to create your path. That's the essence of true success. This belief is at the core of what we do. Artologist is more than just a tool. It's a gateway to freedom.
and of course,
by joining Artologist, you become more than a content creator. You become a vital contributor to society. Your work has the power to inspire, entertain, and bring
Does
people
this not
together.
read weird to
In a
anybody
world
else?
where digital content is a primary source of connection and entertainment, what you create matters. It is a responsibility and a privilege to be the source of happiness and inspiration for many.
yeah, you're a vital contributor to society for uploading barely censored porn for kids on YouTube. Sure. This whole website just screams scam to me. And after doing a bit of research, I found that this company is based in Hungary and is most likely directly related to the Artologist YouTube channel. And on the very, very slim chance that it's not related, I sent them a little email where I played completely dumb. They never responded. However, shortly after, I found proof that this channel was directly owned by a Flipbook creator, as evident by the screenshot on their website, displaying their YouTube studio page with the part of their income highlighted. It's barely cropped out, but at the bottom right, you can see some of their NSFW Amazing Digital Circus and Skibbity Toilet videos. Needless to say, I don't think I'll be getting an email back from them anytime soon. The purpose of this channel is really confusing to some, but I think the function of it checks out when you really think about it. The company is using this YouTube channel to further spread their service, but they're doing it in one of the worst ways that you can. Instead of naturally spreading your service through traditional advertisement, they're using horrible videos marketed towards kids. Not only this, but they're stealing said videos. It's incredibly scummy, and I hope that this company changes its ways. I could talk your ear off for another hour or so about the amount of channels all basically doing the exact same thing. But after you've seen a good chunk of these, you've kind of seen them all. However, I found a channel that is worse than the rest. What if I told you there was a channel that was completely explicit, wasn't age restricted, and had tons of videos preying on the intrigue of little children? Well, unfortunately, Dr. Horror provides us exactly that. Believe it or not, there were tons of videos uploaded by this channel that were definitely what you'd expect from everything we've talked about so far. The animated Incredible meme was commonly used alongside this bald anime-looking Dwayne Johnson character.
I got a plan.
This channel used many different characters that we've seen before. Pomni, FNAF, Skibbity Alliance Girls, and unfortunately, miscellaneous characters, some of which being underage. On the surface, Dr. Horror isn't anything special at all. However, there is one small detail in them that sets them apart from the rest.
The censorship is low opacity, meaning you can see right through it in most cases. If you couldn't already tell, this means that this censorship is basically useless, as everything hidden is still visible. Not only that, but some of his videos have single frame flashes where the censorship goes completely away, leaving bare naked bodies of these characters perfectly accessible to kids who know how to use YouTube video speed controls.
Clearly,
Forget
this
speed
is not
controls
okay.
if you know the
Not
period
in
and the
slightest,
comma.
But it only gets worse when you look at videos that sexualize characters that are children. Like Penny Parker, for example. Videos like this are truly disgusting and disturbing, and it really is sickening to see the amount of views that these videos have, whether that be from actual young children or creeps who want to look at art of young children. It's almost
So I've got an idea. We're gonna try really quick. So I pulled this up and kind of got to here. So we'll pretend we're gonna be an older kid. Search on. Sure. Done. Okay, so here's me accessing YouTube if I was a kid. So if I did uncanny, sure, that works. Uncanny. Okay, so they are here. What about, like, okay, so geometry check. So in a good way, I guess on a kids mode, I'm not seeing it. Oh, I would get like more search. See what this one brings up. Geometry. Let's see. Let's go with this one. I'm gonna turn this off. My God, these controls. So this is just like a fucking music game kind of thing. Does it give me any more over here? What is this? This is not bad. So I'm guessing in kids mode, we're safe from the looks of it. Like, I think it's just having to do with YouTube. Look at my channel. Teddy, I don't even think it'll pull up my channel. Yeah, it doesn't even pull up my channel on here. This is like true kids mode on here. So the idea is that once you hit 13, you should be able to transfer from this to this YouTube. And that what they're seeing is this YouTube is a lot more dangerous than this YouTube. So, I mean, if you're being a responsible individual and having your kids go on like this mode of YouTube, where it's like safeguarded, and I had to set up a whole bunch of weird stuff, like it's pretty safe content. And I'm sure like certain terms are even banned. Like it's very, very, very locked down. So like I can only get in here, which by the way, that is the dumbest bypass because I've set this so where, look, see, age group 9 to 12. So like this is truly meant to like, once you're over 13, they're intending you to use normal YouTube, which is where they're saying this issue lies. That's okay.
Equally disturbing. Channels like Dr. Horror are such a good example as to what's going on with Gen Alpha content here on YouTube.
Yeah,
and how
that's very
harmful
true,
it can be.
Ellington.
They include overstimulating visuals, sexual Elsagate style content, clickbait, and classic brain rot with little to no substance in the slightest at all. When researching this, I
So
said
what they're saying is, so then if I do this and I go here, do sister. Yep, here's all the fucking creepy ones that he was talking about. Look at them all. I mean, there's the Your Sister Did It one, and there's religion, there's the other one. And like these videos, like all it is basically his image on the side here changes and becomes progressively more evil as like the images on the right become more debauchery and stuff like that. Johnny, I promise you can watch Pregnant Elsa once you turn 13. Ah, yes. This is so fucked up. Like, it's so fucked up that it's that easy. And I mean, like, there's no age restriction on, like, they need an intermediate, in my opinion. They really do. They need a stepping stone. They need like a YouTube that has mild access. It's not as locked down as the child version, but it's you're like, I just want to see like what all comes up under here. Sus, because these would be the top searches for it. Remove this. I want to see what comes up. Sus, phase, your girlfriend. Yeah. Hello. This is not like a search that's going to trigger anything either. That's disturbing. Man, that's messed up. And I'm not trying to like moral flag or anything here. Like, I get it, like, you know, especially being a young kid, 13, but I saw Hitler. There's always Hitler. There's always fucking Hitler. Always fucking Hitler. Teddy's taught me that. YouTube contains entirely too much Hitler, for my opinion. But like, some of these like start out kind of edgy, I'm not gonna lie, just for the first image. Man, that's creepy. It's dirty.
Everything that I found to the End Elsagate Discord server, and everyone in that server is there for the same reason. They want to rid the platform of the scum and filth, and hopefully save children of the future from being shown such degenerate content. So I sent everything you've seen in this video to the server for them to report, and report they did. Luckily, in the final days of writing the script, Dr. Horror has been taken down by YouTube for violating terms of service.
Good. I mean, I'm not against... Okay.
Seeing this happen is definitely...
Okay, and this... It's unfortunate this guy's platform got taken away. I don't necessarily agree with that. What I feel like is that we saw just now, like I just showed you YouTube Kids. Like you got YouTube Kids and like we went to the 9 to 12, which is the highest age range. They need like a 13 to 17 like barrier or something. Like I don't know. Like when I create my content, oh here, let me see if I can pull up a window just to show you like on the creator side, because I know you guys probably don't see this often. Upload a video. We'll pretend to upload one of my videos. I'll just actually set it. Here, this is like a test recording. Not worried about this. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys kind of the background side of this stuff. So this is just the video title that automatically got brought in, right? See, like I actually have this, and like every one of mine is already checked that no, it's not made for kids, and then I let it up to them whether they want to age restrict it or not, but I automatically am checking this on every video that I have set up to upload. So I feel like easily there should be a way, because see like how you guys are like there's certain things that get turned on and off when I say like the content is made for kids. Like you can't comment certain things. You like the live chat doesn't work and stuff like that. Y'all are making fun of me for Hitler. More fascist dictators. Oh god, Chip. But yeah, like I feel like this is easy right here. Like this, if I have this clicked, regardless of whether I allow YouTube to age restrict it or not, which the age restriction is for over 18. The minute I click this, it should not. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you would do it. It's just such a difficult concept for me from an IT side to think about, to wrap my head around. But I would think that, like, if this is clicked no, then if they're 13 through 17, my video should not show up for them. You know what I mean? And then, like, if YouTube wants to restrict it even further here, they can. But that's just a little of the backside of this that maybe you don't see all the time.
Heightened my morale for this issue, and has brought a glimmer of hope to an otherwise dark and deep feeling rabbit hole. The deletion of...
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't like seeing people getting their platform taken away. Obviously, like his content was targeted towards that 18 plus. Like I don't feel like pulling his platform away fixes the problem. I mean, it obviously doesn't, because there's more people like him out there. So it's either you got to go through and start pulling them all away, which they only did it because he got masked flagged. Like that's the only reason why YouTube's not actively working to prevent this. We need to figure out a way for YouTube to A, easily be able to actively work to prevent this, and B, actually do what we're saying we're going to do. Going into edgy adult material. Yeah, and I don't know. The only reason why, like I said, why I have a problem with it is just because I feel like YouTube could do more on their side. It's too big and too many videos. Yeah, their toenails instead of their channels. I like that. Yes.
Dr. Horror is a very, very
Just
good
remove
thing.
all of their bones. Completely debone the human.
However, unfortunately, I found a channel that does the exact same thing. This channel, by the name of
See,
Tech Tales, uploads
Here,
a bunch of
we've already gone through Dr. Horror. That person now is deplatformed. Now here's another one. Like, how many more here's another ones are there that we don't know about? That now you're dependent on people going out and finding them and then reporting them for YouTube to pay attention to take it down. Like, that to me is the broken part of the system. Like, you shouldn't be that dependent on your users reporting. I mean, obviously your user base is the biggest thing. Like, you have millions of people coming to this platform finding it. I don't know. I mean, it's maybe because I've had to develop stuff like this before. Like, you know, it's dividing up when you have users coming on. Dibs on the teeth. Oh man.
videos with low opacity sensors, about Amazing Digital Circus, Skibbity Toilet, and again, other random characters, and one of them uploaded is directly about a 15-year-old character. Somehow, these videos have even lower opacity than the Dr. Horror ones, with the nudity being just barely censored. It's true.
And see, this is a problem that goes again to the YouTube policies. I could bring it up, but it basically says if it's censored, it's okay, but it doesn't say to what level. And so that's how these guys are getting away with it. So it's like, when your rules are set so loose, can you really blame somebody for skirting and pressing what flows or what's allowed and what isn't allowed?
Really
This is you.
disgusting
Oh,
and
no.
sickening, and proof that this fight is not over yet. Go out there and do what you must. It gets really disheartening to see something like this unfold before your eyes, and it seeming unstoppable. Thinking about these videos and the possible side effects that they could have on the youth is pretty depressing and heartbreaking. This all goes way further
I'm gonna look,
than
Daddy.
just these incredible
I'm waiting for Discord to open.
and really goes into the Elsagate territory, which is something that I have very, very strong feelings about. More and more, I've seen people come out about how they watched the first wave of Elsagate, back when they were little kids, and how deeply they regret it. Many of these people came out with full-blown fetishes that they wish they didn't have thanks to these videos. Elsagate and the content adjacent to it can be best described as a gateway drug. It's enough to get children interested in different things like violence, incest, pregnancy, and many more things that children shouldn't be looking at when they're young. It gives kids just enough to be fascinated, so much to the point that they might start looking things up on their own time, leading to mountains and mountains of adult content super easily accessible to these kids and
That's
teens.
pretty good, Teddy.
This is the story that many late Gen Z kids shared with me, and it absolutely breaks my heart. I don't want to come off as some sort of holier than
Exactly. You could not have explained that any better. It gives them that carte blanche to do what they want. Well, to ban what they want, but then opens up for easy defense on a sketch content. Yeah, exactly. Because you have people coming in and they're like, well, you said this and it falls underneath that. It kind of goes like with all the stuff we've seen back and forth with the nudity on Twitch and artistic
YouTuber
stuff
with
there
a
and
savior
everything.
complex, because that's not what I'm here for. These videos are presented in a somewhat spooky way, but that presentation is really just to make the point of the seriousness of the situation. I want everybody watching to take a stand with me, to make a point to those who run YouTube that we as a community cannot and will not tolerate this content on our platform.
It's important that channels like this be taken down. Their content is a stain on the platform and serves nothing more than to expose young audiences to NSFW content. YouTube needs to take action against not only the channels producing the content, but also the playlists compiling all the pornography.
YouTube should be a place of freedom for all of its users, a fair and balanced platform that awards creativity
But
and
then you
intuition,
can't sit there and
and a
say, see,
platform
like,
that
this
above
is
all
where
has
my
good
disagreement comes in. You can't sit there and say that it should be a free platform for everybody and inclusivity and all that, and then sit there and be getting rid of channels like this just because they're pressing up against a vague policy that YouTube instated. Like I said, I think the best way we should be going about this stuff is there should be like a two-step process to having your YouTube. Maybe like if you're 13 through 18, like, or 13 through 7, I don't know how you want to word it. If you're 13 through 17, let's go with that. You have creators that are clicking this, no, my video is not for kids, then it should automatically not show up in their list. That would probably help drastically reduce some of this content reaching younger audiences. But then, you're going to need a little more activity on YouTube's side as well. Exactly. Yeah. Make a clear stance. Like it's I don't think it's that hard. I can't totally be on board with deplatforming something when they're operating with inside the policies. Like it's the same thing that goes for Plagued Moth. I mean, his content, like some of his content, he's done a lot better recently with how he was presenting gore content safely on YouTube. That should be allowed, in my opinion. When he's doing it and like making fun and like just the debauchery that he did, especially when you're getting into talking about allowing people access to uncensored gore, that I was not in favor of. Just because you're putting a lot of control in your lap and you're taking a lot of responsibility in your lap, and I don't feel like that's something that a creator should be responsible for. Oh no, Teddy.
Moderation against the content that harms those who are the most influential and vulnerable of our society.
But like, as we've seen, like, again, too, like to YouTube's defense, he saw what YouTube Kids looks like. It's just that intermediate step that we need to figure out.
It is our duty to protect and care for the future of our planet, as our parents and guardians cared for us. Generation Z and Generation Alpha are huge examples as to what internet does to the youth, and serve as huge warning signs for the future. Generation Z, at least the earlier end of us, grew up with a more Wild West internet and YouTube, and were exposed to a ton of shocking and disturbing things on a near daily basis. And now that we have the foresight, we can look back and realize how not okay so many of these things were, and how messed up it was that we had to endure that in the first place. We were exposed to some really awful shit. However, many of us look back on a Gen Z sort of childhood trauma angle with nostalgia. Hell, I know I'm definitely guilty of this. My generation freaks out about things like Skibbity Toilet, when that's really not what we should be focusing about. That is not what's gonna mess up the future generations. We need to set our sights on what actually matters. Imagine if we were aware that Gen Alpha was watching the type of stuff that we watched growing up. There would be outrage. And that's just a fact. And honestly, I feel like it's going to kind of be a similar situation when Generation Alpha grows to be Gen Z's current age in 2024. All that is to say, this cycle needs to end.
Well, Teddy, it could be worse. You could be the next generation, Gen Beta.
But it doesn't end when tech companies start to clamp down on restrictions and make better moderation, because scummy individuals are always going to slip through the cracks. Every time. It ends when we wake up and realize that the internet is just not a place that young children should be at all. Period. It ends when we realize that Generation Z and Generation Alpha tell us everything we need to know about the future if things keep going the way that they are. It ends when we realize that these generations have faced severe consequences from having unmonitored internet access, and now pay the price. Mostly in regards to mental health. We can put an end to this. We have much, much more power as a collective than any of us would think. We together can stop future generations from having to face these problems. All we really need is the help of each other. Now, the thing is, this is a very idealized vision of the future.
I don't mean to interrupt his monologue here, because it is a great monologue and all that, but I think got enough time. How long? I want to check something really quick. I'm gonna let this play.
We at least have to shoot for something, and I think that if we actually try to make a change, we can. Revolutions only start when revolutionaries rise up and start to spread the word on the injustices in society. People need to realize that if we just sit around and do nothing, every generation going forward is going to have to face some sort of injustice. Injustices that could have been prevented if people just cared more. Listen, I'm not a father, and I don't intend on being one anytime soon, but 2 of my jobs that I've had outside of YouTube have been working directly with children. I don't particularly enjoy the company of young children, but I do like to bring joy and be an entertainer. I bring that up to say that I care about the children of tomorrow. I care about what happens to them, and it absolutely breaks my heart to see what's happening now, and to spend so many hours of my own time just fully engulfed in these rabbit holes, and these truly awful, disheartening things. I do it because, as far as I know, making videos like this helps people, at least even a tiny little bit. And the thing is, it's not over yet. I don't want to leave you all with a big pit of doom. I don't make this stuff to fearmonger, but to give solutions. And the thing is, I have a solution. It's not 100% or anything, nothing really is, but it's something. In the description below, you'll find the Pastebin link mentioned earlier. I want you all to go to those channels and report every last one of them. Tweet at Team YouTube.
See, and that's where, like, I'm in total agreement with you there, Teddy. Teddy, oh my god, I read Teddy's message and meant to reply to Jim. Jesus. Apologies. But no, that's where I'm in agreement with you, Jim. The age gate thing on the internet, I just think it's going to go bad. I think we'll see a very good example of that with the porn in Texas thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically porn was like age restricted in Texas. What? No, I wanted porn. God, I said that out. Yeah, see, there's this law just recently got passed where like Pornhub's blocked and a bunch of other stuff. I think we're going to see like how this is going to play out with age restricting the internet type thing coming soon with what's going on in Texas. Look, I appreciate and can sympathize and more empathize with his position. What's really funny is I'm going to show you the total opposite position. We're going to watch that on 2x speed, but I'll show you a furry that's totally pro pedophilia.
About this, do whatever you can to ensure that channels like this don't have a place on this platform. And as cheesy as it sounds, another way to help is to really signal boost this video. And of course the way to do that is to do the YouTube algorithm stuff, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment of some sort. I hate begging for this sort of thing.
And I'll give him a like on this, but yeah, here's the video. It's Raymundo. If you want to check it out, there's obviously a little more content. I kind of skipped around. I don't like watching end to end on somebody's whole video. I think he's got a good message. He's got a good investigation. I'll put it that way. His investigation is top fucking notch. Okay, he's got Gamer from Mars working with him. He does have the paste bin in there with all the channel stuff if you want to look at it. I would go check out his video. See what you think. You know, I mean, it's 20. It's a Rush reference. I respect it. We do need to rein in the porn problem. I've got a friend. He's the tribe. Yeah. I mean, there's that boogie. The boogie effect is kind of what I think of. You know, with the what is it, Arkansas 8s and stuff like that, and all the shit that he said. I think there is a lot of things that need to be controlled. It's just a matter of like my brain starts to like warp when we think of how are we going to control these things. But yeah, it's such a large problem. Because it's a matter of like you'll start monologuing about kids. Yeah, it's I think what he's doing is too strongly on pushing a message of deplatforming. I'll be honest. When you start pulling up the YouTube policies and looking at stuff, some of these channels aren't necessarily doing anything wrong because YouTube's policies are so vague, and that's what it comes down to.